you maybe share a little bit more about, interviewed and your kind of what the early days of that were like, and then we can kind of like fast track through to the acquisition with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so again, interviewed a little bit different path, B2B SaaS company. We did a few marketplace experiments there, but ultimately the business was we noticed that every company, just to a certain extent, when they started hiring entry-level salespeople, entry-level customer support, entry-level data entry, financial analysts, didn't really matter what the role was. Pretty much anything with under 5 or 10 years of experience in a non-technical role. Most of these businesses, both traditional businesses as well as startups, were doing some sort of exercise or some sort of like case study style interview, right? Like if you're hiring a salesperson who's more junior, you want a really good sense of can this person is this person good on the phone? Can they qualify a lead? Are they willing to do cold calls? Do they write high quality emails, or do their emails suck? And so, all these businesses do all these kind of crazy things manually to vet that. And that could be, doing a sample sales pitch over the phone, or, increasingly 5 years ago, people would do some sort of like, WebEx or Zoom like demo, and they would ask a sales candidate to come in and like demo the rest of the sales team or the executive team or the recruiters or whatever. And so there were all of these like kind of challenges around doing that at scale. And so that process works super well if you are a 10 person, 50 person, 100 person company and you're hiring a couple sales reps per year. One of the reasons that I started this company was because I read a stat right before we started that Wells Fargo gets 2.4 million job applications every year. They hire about 20 or 30,000 people. So, doing a cute little like Zoom style interview works great. Again, if you're hiring low numbers of people, if you have to sort through 2.5 million applications and find the tens of thousands that you're going to hire, you need automation. And so we got, I think, pretty good about really helping companies deal with these like massive top of funnel challenges around, if this person for a US based role, if they can't, it's a chat support role. And so we really, really, really need a high level of English written proficiency. And so if the candidate doesn't have that, nothing else matters. We don't need to talk to them. We don't care about their experience. Like, sorry, this isn't going to work. And so how do you do that in a super candidate friendly and engaging way? I think increasingly one of the challenges with, the Walmarts and Wells Fargos and Chases of the world is collectively, Amazon's getting, I think, 4 million applications per year. They'll hire about 300,000 people. Wells Fargo, 2.5 million applications per year. A lot of these applicants are also customers. And so the other challenge that we were solving was, if you are not hiring millions of people every year who are applying to your jobs and you're giving them a shit candidate experience, those people are like statistically less likely to like bank with Wells Fargo or buy shit on Amazon. And so it became this entire process of how do we actually ensure a good candidate experience outside of for the employer, how do we help them like get the right person? But how do you do this in a way that like the recruiters don't have time to sift through millions of resumes? And they also certainly don't have time to get back to candidates. And so there was a lot of like automation, in multiple directions there, from the employer to the candidate, from the candidate to the employer, giving candidates an out at various points in the process, saying like, hey, this job isn't a good fit for me. And that's right when we were starting to explore this marketplace idea that is super interesting in hiring, which is like, look, if you have a single customer as a B2B SaaS company like Wells Fargo, who is dropping 2.35 whatever it is million people on the floor and not hiring them, those 3 million people will go get jobs somewhere else. It's just a matter of helping them find the right job. And so they're within a couple of very specific roles that we were doing. We started some marketplace experiments in 2017 around, we knew Weebly was one of our customers, IBM was one of our customers, and Weebly and IBM were like really obsessed with chat support. Fidelity Investments was one of our customers, and they were really obsessed with phone support. Uber and Lyft were one of our customers, and they were obsessed with email support. So even if you take a very narrow role like customer support and you get really good at hiring for it, you can very easily build a marketplace if you start with kind of, you know, B2B SaaS offering on the back end that says, you know, if Fidelity cares a lot about phone support and somebody, you know, did a terrible job on the English verbal communication section of the assessment, but they have amazing writing skills, let's go get them a job at Uber. Let's go get them a job at Weebly. And so once you deeply understand, at least in hiring, once you deeply understand the needs of your customers and like very specifically what they want and what they're hiring for, the matching piece becomes really easy. And the nature of running a B2B SaaS company is that you have all of these buyers that are buying, paying for your monthly service or your annual service to help them screen candidates. And so you kind of have customers built into this. And so we started to experiment this. It was going super well. And then, you know, ultimately in the middle of 2017, it was like, in order to do this, I think we need a lot more money, because this is like a media, you know, we were a few $1 million in revenue. We were 2.5 years old. We were profitable with a small team. Things were awesome. But in order to like really build out this marketplace, it was going to be tough. For us as a first-time founder at the time, you know, had run 2 other companies super early on, but as a first-time founder with Interviewed, I, you know, wanted to win under the belt. And so we decided to sell. So we sold the business for high 8 figures to Indeed. And then, you know, ultimately facilitated all that marketplace stuff that we were going to build on our own through a company that was already doing 250 million candidates per month. And so that ended up being kind of a very good way for us to plug something that was kind of working at a small scale and just blow it up overnight. And so the numbers there were like, you know, we were processing on the SaaS side, we were doing about 1 million candidates per year in 2017 was kind of our run rate when we sold. I think last year we did 160 million candidates through Interviewed. So, you know, every acquisition is different, but this was a very good way to like take something that was kind of working, prove that to a big, you know, a big company that was already doing this at scale, and say, hey, we know something that you don't. We've gotten very good on the back end about doing this like very niche thing that we can now go apply to salespeople and financial analysts and all these other roles, and help you do that and apply that to all of the customers that you already have. So, you know, I think that there's certainly an opportunity within hiring to like go and compete with Indeed, go and compete with LinkedIn. Like these sites are not great in a lot of ways, but Indeed was an amazing business. It's a fascinating business. It's a wildly profitable business. It does about $400 million in profit per year. So it's a crazy opportunity to kind of learn how like the experts do this really well. And then hopefully, you know, in the next step that we go do, you know, apply some of these lessons.